If you're getting close to retirement, maybe it's 1 year away, maybe it's 3, maybe you're still figuring out the timeline. I want to ask you something. Do you actually know what you're retiring into? Not what you're leaving, what you're walking toward. Because here's what I see constantly working with women 50 and older and those closing in on retirement. They've saved, they've planned, they've met with a financial advisor. They've done everything the world told them to do. And then retirement arrives, and within weeks, sometimes days, something feels off. Not financially, but personally, inside. The calendar's wide open, the structure's gone, the sense of purpose they've built their entire week around for 30, 40 years just stopped. And nobody warned them that was coming. Not their advisor, not their colleagues, not their family, nobody. And that silence, that gap between what they prepared for and what retirement was actually feeling like, that is one of the most common and least talked about experiences women have in their first year of retirement. So today, that's what we're talking about. I want to talk about the retirement preparation gap. Here's the reality. We spend decades preparing financially for retirement, saving, investing, calculating, planning, reviewing, adjusting, and we spend almost zero time preparing personally for retirement. And those are not the same thing. Financial preparation answers the question, do I have enough? It's a math problem that we need to solve. Personal preparation answers the question, am I ready for what this actually feels like? Most women walk into retirement with, pretty solid answer to the first question, assuming they meet the right retirement planner. And quite a large number of women don't have an answer to the second question. Here's what the gap looks like in real life. A woman retires. Hopefully her financial plan is solid. Her accounts are funded. The income is mapped out. She feels pretty good. Week 1 feels like vacation. Wonderful. Week 3, still pretty good, relaxing. Month 2, something might start to feel a little off. She can't name it exactly. Month 4, she's struggling, not financially, but emotionally. She feels unproductive, like she's waiting for something to start and it never does. She hasn't run out of money. She's run out of structure. And structure was something work gave her every single day for 30 years without ever having to think about it. This is the retirement preparation gap, and it catches even the most organized, capable, financially prepared women completely off guard. So let's talk about what actually changes when you stop working. Let me be specific here because I think when women hear identity and purpose, they sometimes tune out. It sounds abstract and kind of soft and touchy-feely. It's not soft. It's one of the most practical conversations you can have before you retire. Here's what work actually gives you beyond a paycheck. Number 1, structure. Work tells you when to wake up, when to be somewhere, what to do from 9 to 5, what the week looks like, what the month looks like, what the year looks like. When retirement arrives, all that disappears in a single day. And for many women, the open calendar doesn't feel like freedom at first. It feels like a void. Number 2, identity. For most of us, work is deeply tied to who we are. Think about what happens at a dinner party when someone asks, so what do you do? For 30 years, you had a clear, confident answer. In retirement, that question becomes surprisingly hard to answer. And that discomfort for many women, that small moment of, I don't quite know how to describe myself anymore, is more destabilizing than most women expect. Number 3, social connection. Colleagues, teams, daily conversations, the people you grabbed coffee with, the meetings you complained about. But guess what? All that kept you connected socially. Retirement ends all of that overnight. And for women who didn't realize how much of their social life was built around work, the isolation can arrive fast and feel really heavy. Number 4, purpose. Work gave your time meaning, your skills were needed, your contributions mattered, you solved problems, you created things, you showed up, and it counted. In retirement, recreating that sense of my time and effort actually matters. It requires intentional effort. It does not happen automatically. Number 5, forward momentum. Work gave you goals, deadlines, progress, the feeling of moving towards something. Without it, days can start to blur, weeks pass without a clear sense of what you accomplished or where you're headed. Now, I'm not saying any of this to frighten you. I'm saying it because every single one of these things is replaceable. Every one of them can be rebuilt intentionally in retirement, but only if you plan for them. And that is exactly what successful retirees do. Successful retirees get intentional about what they're retiring into, not just what they're retiring from. They don't just leave a job, they build a vision, a vision for the life on the other side before they walk out the door. And that vision answers questions that most women have never actually sat down and answered. Questions like, what will my days actually look like? Not vacation days, regular Tuesdays. Where will my sense of purpose come from when I'm no longer needed at work? Who will I spend time with? How will I build and maintain connection? What have I always wanted to do, to learn, to explore, to create, to experience that work never gave me the space for? What kind of woman do I want to become in this chapter of my life? Ladies, these are not small questions, and they are not questions you can answer in an afternoon. But they are questions that successful retirees start thinking and asking before they retire. So when that day comes, they're not starting from zero. Think about it this way. Retiring from something is an exit. Retiring into something is a plan. The exit is easy. You hand in your notice, you clear your desk, and you say your goodbyes. The plan, that takes work. It takes reflection. It takes honesty about what you actually want, not what you think you should want, not what looks good to other people or what your family or your spouse wants, but what genuinely will light you up in this new phase of life. And the women who do the work before they leave, they step into retirement with energy and direction. The women who don't, unfortunately, they often spend the first year of retirement just trying to figure out, who am I now? So now I want to talk about why most women skip this step. So if this matters so much, why do most women skip the plan, the non-financial plan, the purpose plan, the identity plan? 3 reasons. And I want to name them directly because I hear all 3 constantly. Reason number 1, the financial to-do list feels more urgent. There's always another number to check, another account to review, another advisor meeting to prepare for, another financial decision to make. The financial side of retirement is concrete, measurable, and urgent feeling. The personal side, on the other hand, the identity questions, the purpose questions, the vision feels abstract. It's hard to put on a checklist. So it gets pushed to later, and later sometimes never quite arrives. Reason 2, it feels self-indulgent. A lot of women I work with feel almost embarrassed asking themselves, what do I want my life to look like? What makes me feel purposeful? Like, those are questions for people who have everything else figured out. But here's the truth. Understanding what you need to thrive in retirement is not a luxury. It's not selfish. It's a necessity. And the women who give themselves permission to ask these questions and answer them honestly are the women who build a life and a retirement they actually love. Reason 3, they assume it will figure itself out. Once I have time, I'll figure out what I want to do. Once I'm not so busy, I'll think about what makes me happy. Once I retire, clarity will come. And sometimes for some women, it does, which is awesome. But for many women, it doesn't. Purpose does not show up automatically when your calendar clears. You have to sometimes go find it. And the best time to start looking is before you need it. All right, let's talk about what I call lady steps and where to start this week. Let me give you something concrete to do with all of this. These are your lady steps, okay? Small sequenced actions you can take this week to start building your retirement vision before you need it. All right, step number 1, write down everything that work currently gives you beyond a paycheck. Structure, identity, social connection, purpose, momentum. Write them all down. Be specific. Don't judge it. Just name it. Step 2, for each thing you wrote down, ask honestly, where will this come from in retirement? Not where you hope it will come from, where it actually will come from based on your real life, your real relationships, your real interests. If you can't answer that for one of them, this is your gap. This is where the work needs to happen. Step 3, write down 3 things you've always wanted to do, to explore, to learn, or to become that your working life never gave you the space for. I'm not talking about like practical things necessarily, just honest things that light something up in you when you think about them. Step 4, describe one version of what a meaningful, regular Tuesday, let's say, looks like in your retirement. Not a vacation day, not a special vacation, just an ordinary Tuesday. Like, what time do you wake up? How do you spend the morning? What do you see? Who do you see? What do you create, contribute, experience? How do you feel at the end of that Tuesday? Write it out in as much detail as you can. Step 5, go back to step 1, but in this case, you're not going to take a scrap piece of paper and write it out. you're actually going to go check out my More for Her Collective. I have a free preview. And in the More for Her Collective, I have an entire module called Know Yourself. I have an entire series of exercises and reflections and journaling prompts, just like the ones I went over, where you don't have to think about the prompts. It's going to prompt you and you're going to type in your answers. You're going to think, you're going to take your time. You're going to have space. You're going to have the opportunity to fully imagine and envision your retirement. And I've designed it all for you. It's all there, ready and waiting for you in my More for Her Collective. And when you join the collective, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take something called the Retirement Persona Quiz. Once you take the quiz, you will find out which of my 7 different retirement personality types you are. And based on your retirement personality type, the entire More for Her Collective is built around your personality. Step 1 is identifying your retirement personality, going through this series of exercises and reflections and journaling prompts to really understand your purpose, your identity, what you want your retirement life to look like. So if you want to check out the More for Her Collective, the link is down in the description, and I do offer a free preview. I want to pause here for a moment because I know that for some women, this kind of reflection feels unfamiliar, maybe even a little uncomfortable. You've spent your whole career being productive, being useful, checking things off, right? To-do lists, delivering results, taking care of kids, parents, people, and now I'm asking you to sit down with questions that don't have clear, right answers. And it's really just about you. Maybe one of the few times in your life, you're focused on you and your needs and what you want. And for some people, this can feel a little strange. But here's what I want you to know. That discomfort is not a sign that you're doing it wrong. It's a sign that you're doing it at all. Most women never ask these questions with intention until this new phase of life that we call retirement, or you can call it the second half or the last quarter or whatever you want to call it. But many women never ask these questions until that time is already here and something already feels off. I'm asking you and encouraging you to do this now. That is the difference. And again, if you want a structured place to do this work, go into the More for Her Collective, because the Know Yourself module is exactly what I built this for women to discover more about them and what they want in this next chapter of life. And again, inside the Know Yourself module, you'll learn more about your retirement identity, your values, your vision, and your starting point. Before you ever get to the numbers, which is called Know Your Money, I encourage women to know themselves and then to know their money so that your money matches your meaning. That is the whole goal of the More for Her Collective. And then finally, to have a plan to put it all, into place and to actually implement the plan with a network of experts that you can also access in the More for Her Collective. And not to be overlooked is I have a community. So if you are thinking about your identity and your values and who you are, or maybe your money or your plan, you can communicate with other community members and chat about this in a safe environment with women on the same journey to and through retirement. So again, access is free using the first link in the description below. Now, let me show you what this looks like when a woman actually does the work. I want to tell you about a woman I worked with. Let's call her Carol. That was my mom's name, and it's my middle name. Carol was 61, married. She had spent 28 years in corporate HR, a career she was genuinely proud of. She was one of those women who was just good at her job, organized, capable, respected, accomplished. Financially, Carol had done everything right. Her retirement savings accounts were funded. Her income plan was mapped. She used the collective to really get the financial aspects of her life in order. As she said, she had all these different puzzle pieces and they were just out there floating. The collective helped her get all these puzzle pieces together before she met with a retirement advisor. And then the advisor that we hooked her up with gave her a green light that financially she was ready for retirement and could feel confident that she would have an income for the rest of her life. So Carol retired, and the first few weeks were wonderful. By month 2, something had shifted. She couldn't really name it exactly. Nothing was wrong, but nothing felt quite right either. She described it as a feeling like she was waiting for her real life to start, and it just kept not starting. And she wasn't really depressed. She wasn't in crisis. She was just kind of adrift. I kind of liken it to when my kids left for college, that empty nester feeling. I just felt adrift. I didn't really know who I was because my identity was the mom, the fun mom, the mom, all the kids came over, the mom who went to all the soccer and field hockey and basketball and softball games, and the mom who was always there. And then suddenly the people I was there for were no longer there, and I was adrift. Who was I when I wasn't my kid's mom anymore? And so it was a very, very similar feeling. And I have retired in the past from corporate life, and I remember that feeling of being adrift. But in this case, Carol was kind of embarrassed about it because from the outside, everything looked perfect. Like she was just this accomplished, put together woman who always kind of knew what she wanted. But here's what was uncovered together and through the exercises in the Know Yourself module in the More for Her Collective. Work had been giving Carol 5 things she hadn't consciously recognized: structure, identity, connection, purpose, and the daily feeling that her skills and her presence were needed. When she retired, all 5 of those things disappeared at once, and she didn't have a plan to replace any of them. So she did the work, we did the work together. We mapped out what actually she needed to thrive. We got specific about the kind of days she wanted to build. We identified what had been on hold for like 20 years, a passion for mentoring young women, a creative writing interest she had completely abandoned in her 30s, and a desire to travel intentionally rather than just taking the occasional holiday. She rebuilt her structure deliberately. She found a mentoring program. She joined a writing group. She planned a trip she had been putting off for years. And within 3 months, she told me, my gosh, I feel like me again, but a version of myself I actually chose. And guess what? Her finances hadn't changed. What changed was that she finally understood what retirement actually required of her, and she built for it. So here's the big reframe. And here's what I want you to take away from today's video. Retirement is the very first time in your life you get to decide what productive means entirely on your own terms, and maybe even unencumbered by serious financial constraints. You know, we all are going to have our pot, our nest egg, right? We have to operate within that. But you get to see that nest egg. You get to match it with the lifestyle you want to live. And, you know, outside of having a spouse, right, and some other demands, you know, outside of maybe you're in the sandwich generation where you're still kind of taking care of kids and you still have parents, you know, there are those constraints. But for the most part, this is your chance, not your employer's terms, not your family's terms, especially if they're out and they're grown and they're doing their own thing, not society's terms, but on your terms. This is not a burden. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. It's so exciting. It certainly can be overwhelming, but it's super exciting. But it only feels that way if you show up for it intentionally. If you're approaching retirement and you've spent more time planning your finances than planning your life, you are not behind. You are exactly where many women are. But now you know something most women don't find out until it's too late. And that knowledge is only useful if you act on it. I always say that. Knowledge is great, but it's only useful if you act on it. So the first thing I recommend you do is take my retirement persona quiz. It is the perfect first step. It literally takes 5 minutes. So when you become a More for Her Collective member, you take a 35-question assessment, and it's going to assign you to one of 7 different retirement personas that I've identified. And once you know that, it helps you understand your retirement identity and where to focus first, so you're not starting from a blank page. And if you're ready to really get ready for retirement, I do encourage you to check out Her Retirement and my More for Her Collective. Thank you in advance. Listen, you've done the hard part. You've saved, you've shown up, you've built something. Now it's time to make sure the life waiting on the other side of retirement is the one that you've actually designed. So here's to knowing more, having more, living more, and getting her done. Okay, a little plug for my guide, Her First 100 Days of Retirement. It's a guide, a workbook, and a journal. And it's for people that like to journal and for people that really want to seize the opportunity to make those the best 100 days. So you're not retiring and kind of stumbling around. This is going to help you transition into retirement and go through those first 100 days with intention. So go check this out on the Her Retirement website. It's in my bookstore, and I would love to have you check it out.